Oh, yeah,
Wow.
baby.
Wow.
It's a new Jeff Bezos ISO jingle.
Love it.
Insider. Business Insider. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin is bidding on NASA's lucrative moon contract again after it lost to SpaceX last year.
What?
He's at it again.
He's at it again, man. He's like a dog with a bone.
It's somebody playing the New World Order game is scoring some points here because there's Bezos on the header here with his cowboy hat on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a good hat. Mm-hmm. Hey, I have a hat just like that.
I know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's specifically made to your...
it's true. Custom. Thank you, little winged one. And I will say, little winged one, I've been wearing my my cowboy hat quite a bit recently.
So Blue Origin is getting a second chance to help NASA send astronauts to the moon after losing the contract to SpaceX last year. On Wednesday, the space agency announced it was planning to reopen the competition for its Artemis program to a second company. Shortly after the announcement, Jeff Bezos' space company announced it would place a bid for the multi-billion-dollar contract for a second time.
Of course.
Quote, Blue Origin is ready to compete and remains deeply committed to the success of Artemis. A Blue Origin spokesperson told Insider, quote, we will continue to work with NASA to achieve the United States' goal to return to the moon as soon as possible. CNBC's Michael Sheets was the first to report Blue Origin's announcement. Okay, NASA initially began the program, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. So, yay. more, I don't know. Like
well,
bidding.
It's funny because it is, I think what we're seeing now, and Bezos being sort of a prime example of this, is we have the military industrial complex, we have the medical industrial complex. I think we are in the developing stages of a space industrial complex. Because we've already had these space billionaires talk about doing manufacturing in space. Bezos wants to build his Amazon manufacturing factories on the moon and in orbital stations, and and then send the goods back to the Earth, which is fun.
We need a lot of rockets for that go up and down,
Well, and that's the point. Exactly. It's not that Bezos just really wants to go to the moon or whatever. I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't mind it, but it's more about, hey, in the future, whatever this new world order looks like, this great reset, ESG, stakeholder capitalism system looks like, the ferrying of goods and people to space and back is, I think they imagine it to be as big as the oil industry or the transportation industry or the it's its own essential industry going to and fro. Probably not even during Bezos's lifetime, but these guys are all obsessed with legacy.
Oh, yeah. If you look at the investments of Bezos, no, he's going to try to live forever. All these guys are. This generation of tech moguls, dare I call them oligarchs, is I think they're investing a lot of money into life extension. And to that point, here's a 30-second clip of Bernie Sanders talking about this Blue Origin thing. And let's hear what Bernie has to say.
Today in America, we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. We talk a lot about Russian oligarchy, and that is certainly true. But anybody who thinks that we don't have an oligarchy in this country is surely mistaken. In our country today, we have two people who own more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American population, and the top 1% owns more wealth than the bottom 92%. Today in America...
Started over, sorry. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's typical Bernie there. But also, I think it's interesting that he is pushing this now that the general public out here in America, at least in the West, sees this idea of the oligarch. You can do something to the oligarch, right? Like the Russian oligarchs that put the sanctions on them, taking away their stuff. Look at them. They're suffering. As Biden puts it, the pain. I feel like it's almost like the governments are trying to take back some of the influence that tech companies have gotten. Like the technocracy has exploded in the last 2 decades. And, you know, there are arguments to suggest that maybe social media platforms or tech companies have more influence in the world than politicians and governments. And especially since, you know, there's a lot of lobbyists for places like Facebook or whatever, you know, dishing out what Washington ought to do. And so I think it's interesting that Bernie would bring this to light, and at least, you know, some of the Bernie followers to consider this idea. Well, I guess they've kind of always been against the top 1% concept, but to tie it to the Russian oligarchs, these guys like Bezos and Musk, it's an interesting play. And it's almost like saying, you know, to these billionaire guys, like, we can take you down too. We can take down, you know, all that you have, Bezos, can disappear. We can sanction you and put you in jail on the moon or something. Yeah,
it's kind of like a fun Jack Ma thing in
we
China.
can make him disappear. Yeah, see, it's interesting, right? It's like a government. It's the fight for power. There's only one mountain, and you got these technocracy people climbing the mountain, but also politics. The political infrastructure has always been there controlling things. So it's a good back and forth, I thought, to take a look at. But yeah, I mean, this is also a bid for, like you mentioned, the stakeholder capitalism. If we're going to start building infrastructure on the firmament, which is, you know, firmament real estate is really what's taking place here, then you're going to be you want to be the one to deploy the building, the construction of all that, because that's not just wealth, but and beyond.
It's the future.
You know? It's the future.
It's of the ruling class. That's for sure.
Especially since Bezos wants and this is part of the ESG conversation, is Bezos wants all of any kind of polluting thing to be done in space, not on Earth. You know, that was his whole thing when he went to space, was like, we're so fragile, we need to preserve Earth the way, you know, it's supposed to be, and then get all the nastiness to be happening in space. And it's like, okay, that'll get the aliens all mad. And
he's got quite the imagination, that fella.
So there you go. There's your little.
Pretty impressive, actually.
Here's your Bezos. So evil. Why is his laugh so evil?
I don't know. I'm starting to believe that there's some sort of some signal hidden in the spookiest laughs of the most famous, powerful people on Earth. They all have pretty terrifying laughs. Yeah. Maybe that's the key. You know, if you have a scary laugh, then the lizard people recognize you as one of their own. That's like their calling card.
Yeah, that's possible.